Kansas and Oklahoma opened COVID-19 vaccine eligibility to everyone age 16 and older. Missouri moves into phase 2 of its rollout plan. We'll look at who's eligible in the state.
Opening statements begin in the trial against the former police officer accused of killing George Floyd. I'm Skyler Henry in Minneapolis with a look at what to expect in the case against Derek Chauvin.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Coronavirus vaccine eligibility is wide open now in Kansas and Oklahoma, making all adults in those states eligible. This is KOAM News at 5. The state of Kansas today moved into phase 5 of vaccine distribution, meaning that every Kansan over the age of 16 is eligible for the vaccine. KOAM's Zach Dodge has what it's going to mean for our area.
59-year-old Baxter Springs resident Timothy Fish has been waiting for today to come for a while.
I just hope that it's the start of a better future.
At first he had to wait for a vaccine because he wasn't eligible, and then last week he was in the hospital for several days after having a heart attack.
Put a couple stents in, and three and a half days later I got out, and I was ready to get out. Sure. Tired of being used as a pincushion.
So he was happy to be a pincushion again on Monday as he finally got that first elusive dose.
I found out while I was here doing something else that I could get it, and I could get it right now. I was like, well, can I do it? And yeah, sure.
We didn't have any doses scheduled, but we had, with the opening up of the new phase, we had a lot of interest.
So owner Brian Caswell put together a small on-the-spot clinic where they would pop open a vial of vaccine if they had at least 10 people commit to coming in before 6 p.m.
It's a little riskier, but I think early in the stage like this, we'll be able to fill up that 10.
Moving forward, they'll keep on putting together clinics based on appointments. But no matter how they do it, Caswell says they're ready to get vaccines into arms.
It just creates this, again, feeling of like liberation, of knowing that, you know, I'm able to make that step to a new normal.
I hope that this gives me some protection, and you gotta protect yourselves and everybody else.
In Cherokee County, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Many of our local health departments will continue to set up vaccine clinics on an appointment basis. There's a walk-in clinic that's first come, first served at the Crawford County Fairgrounds this week. It's open to anyone above the age of 18. It's from noon to 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Oklahoma today entered phase 4 of its COVID-19 vaccine rollout plan. That means, like Kansas, Oklahoma has now opened vaccines to all residents age 16 and older. Governor Kevin Stitt and state health officials held a news conference today about the move. The governor says nearly 2 million vaccines have already been distributed in the state. State of Missouri today entered into phase 2 of its vaccine distribution plan. The governor says through phase 2, more than 800,000 Missourians will become eligible for vaccines. Those include workers in the construction field, critical manufacturing, higher education, the remaining workers in the food and agriculture sectors, and the state's homeless population. Phase 3, opening up the vaccine to all Missouri adults, will begin on April 9th. City of Carl Junction, Missouri is reintroducing a use tax. If passed, it would tax online purchases at an equal amount to the city's sales tax, which is 3%. City officials say it's needed to fund improvements to city parks, sidewalks, and streets.
To generate a little bit more revenue for the city, we have several projects that have been ongoing over several years that we just don't have the funds to complete, and we need to get those completed.
Residents can learn more about the proposed use tax at a meeting tomorrow night, 6 p.m., Randy's Drive-In. Doug Heddy joined us. Boy, the temps have been nice. It is windy out there, Doug.
Yeah, it is super windy outside and also fairly warm. Most of us have warmed up into the mid-70s after a pretty nice weekend. Yesterday was a little bit chillier, but all in all, pretty good over the past few days. Clear skies across the region. Not too much is going on here, but it is very windy, and we do have our next storm system, which is going to head out toward us at least over about the next 24 to 36 hours, and that's one reason why the winds have picked up so much. over the past day. But look at our temps, 71, 72, 73 degrees across the region, but we do have those very strong south winds at 20, upwards of 30, and gusts even higher than that. It's going to stay windy. Of course, we're going to look at some rain chances all coming up here in just a bit.
Okay, Doug, we'll catch you then. Opening statements began today in the murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. He's accused of murdering George Floyd last May when he kneeled on Floyd's neck for about 9 minutes. Reporter Michael George has the latest.
Mr. Derek Chauvin betrayed this badge.
Prosecutor Jerry Blackwell began his case against former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin with the most powerful piece of evidence. For 9 minutes and 29 seconds, the 14 jurors watched an entire bystander video of Chauvin pressing his knee on George Floyd's neck.
Grinding and crushing him until the very breath, no, ladies and gentlemen, until the very life were squeezed out of him.
Chauvin has pleaded not guilty to the charges of murder and manslaughter. The defense argues Floyd's death was caused by a heart condition, methamphetamine, and fentanyl.
There is no political or social cause in this courtroom. But the evidence is far greater than 9 minutes and 29 seconds.
Attorneys for Floyd's family kneeled before the trial began. They say this trial is a referendum on racial justice in America.
This murder case is not hard. When you watch that torture video of George Floyd.
Minneapolis is a city on edge. The area around the courthouse is protected by fencing and the National Guard. The protests here have been peaceful, but the fear is if Chauvin is acquitted, that could change. Among the protesters, many told us this should be an open and shut case.
I have confidence in that judge. I have confidence in the jurors that this man will be convicted.
People is on edge, man. They ready to do something. These people is on edge so bad.
The first witnesses have already begun testifying. The trial is expected to take up to 4 weeks. Michael George, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Now, if convicted on the most serious charge of second-degree murder, Chauvin could face as many as 40 years in prison, though sentencing guidelines suggest he would face more likely 12.5 years. A little bit later, authorities in Egypt have finally freed a massive cargo ship that was trapped in the Suez Canal, blocking traffic. And next in Health Watch, a new study says many hand sanitizers contain higher levels than allowed of potentially cancer-causing chemicals. The Biden administration says it's reviewing a World Health Organization report expected to be released tomorrow about the origins of the pandemic. There are already questions about the study, which the WHO says was jointly produced with China. It's expected to find the virus was likely transmitted from animals to humans through the wet markets in Wuhan, China, and not leaked from a Chinese lab. During the pandemic, we've relied on hand sanitizers to help keep us safe. But now, in an independent study, researchers from the company Valisure say they've detected higher than allowed levels of a potential cancer-causing chemical compound in 21 products from 15 brands. CBS News found some of these products containing benzene for sale on major retailers' websites. The leading brand, Purell, and many others had no detectable levels of benzene. CBS News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. John LaPook joins us to explain.
David Light runs Valisure, an independent lab and pharmacy that tests drug products for quality. Over the last several months, they started finding benzene, a known carcinogen, in some hand sanitizers.
Honestly, I was shocked. It might very well be the most well-known compound that is dangerous to humans.
Valisure's chief scientific officer, Corey Kuchera, walked us through the testing process. So this peak represents the amount of benzene that's in this bottle.
Correct.
And that's high?
That's high.
In the early days of the pandemic, the FDA relaxed standards on benzene levels in liquid hand sanitizers, according to Dr. Leonardo Tresande.
There was an effort to really increase hand sanitizers and the availability.
The FDA allowed liquid hand sanitizers to contain benzene in a concentration of up to 2 parts per million. Valisure tested hundreds of products for benzene. Valisure says of 260 products, 21 from 15 brands tested above the FDA interim limit. The top 3 tested between 6 to 8 times higher than allowed. Batches of this sanitizer, with a baby Yoda on the front, contain nearly double the allowable amount. Attempts to get a response from manufacturer Best Brands Consumer Products were unsuccessful. CBS News found the product available on Amazon, who told CBS News it is investigating the products in question.
There's no reason for that kind of a product to be on the market.
Dr. Daniel Teitelbaum is an expert on benzene exposure. He warns benzene absorption could be increased in workers who use a hand sanitizer contaminated with benzene, then put on gloves that prevent evaporation.
There are people who have special risks. It's a lot of healthcare personnel. It's a lot of cleaning and sanitation people.
In a statement, the Walt Disney Company said it launched independent testing on the Baby Yoda sanitizer and has instructed Best Brands to withdraw the product until more is learned. Dr. John LaPook, CBS News, New York.
To see exactly which products were flagged by Valisure, go to the KOAMnewsnow.com health page. Valisure has petitioned the FDA to launch an investigation and recall for the ones on the list. The FDA says it's reviewing the petition and continues to test sanitizer products and monitor the market. Doug Heddy is up next with his complete forecast, and a little bit later how you can get a break on your taxes for doing your part to reduce the spread of COVID-19.
The KOAM Health Watches.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a pretty good day for us today, but very, very windy across the region. We've had winds which have been gusting at times upwards of 40 to 45 miles per hour, and it's going to stay extremely windy as we go through the evening and really into the daytime hours for us tomorrow as well. Looking back over the past month, look at all the days that we've had above average. March has been a fairly warm month. 19 of our 31 days, almost, have been pretty much above where we should be for this time of the year. We are going to cool back down once again by the middle of the week. Allergies high at the very top of the chart. These are mainly tree allergies, elm, maple. 10 out of 10 today is going to be a 10 out of 10 once again for us during the daytime hours tomorrow. Most of us are sitting into lower 70s, so it looks good. It's very windy. You can see our winds very strong, really increasing over the past 3 or 4 hours. We have sustained winds from 20 to 30 miles per hour. But if we look at the wind gusts, we're seeing winds gusting 35, 40, 45, pushing 50 at times. And the humidity is low, so that's why we've had the red flag advisories in effect throughout the afternoon. You don't want to burn, especially when the humidity is sitting at 25%. 72 south winds 20 to 30. Pressure is dropping. Through the evening hours, we'll slide back through the 70s, 60s. I think we'll drop lower 50s a little bit later on tonight. And then we'll have to watch our next storm system, which will start to roll in. Clear skies across the region right now, and that's what we are seeing. We'll continue to see the clear skies as we go through the evening hours, and then we'll start to get some clouds increasing for us tomorrow. But here's our next storm system, northern parts of the Rockies. This will start to affect us late tomorrow, but still I think most of the day is going to be okay. We got these southerly winds kicking in. So here's tomorrow morning. You can see our cold front pushing into our northwestern counties. Clouds increase. By noon, the front's going to be right along that I-44 corridor. And then late in the day, there may be a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms, but these are mainly going to be, again, very similar to what we had Saturday, mainly in our southern counties. We'll make it to about 65 by noon, then we'll slide back into the mid-50s late in the afternoon hours. Some scattered thunderstorms continue in our southeastern counties tomorrow evening, and then this whole system works out of here. There is a little back wave that's going to give us clouds and maybe a few showers Wednesday morning, and then I think for really the rest of the week, we look okay, even though our temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler. So rain chances for tomorrow, really along and south of Interstate 44 really has the best chance. I think if you live north of I-44, you'll definitely stay on the dry side. Let's go down the road. Here's Friday. Friday looks okay, back into lower 60s. A weak wave Saturday that could give us a few random showers, and then a slight chance on Sunday, but better chances Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday of next week, and that's when chances for severe weather will return. Now, until then, this week, at least severe weather-wise, I think we look okay. 65 and dropping tomorrow, 52 on Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be a chilly day, but back to 62 by the time we work into Friday, Saturday, and then into the Easter Sunday. Looks pretty good, a high temp of 70.
Yeah, it looks like plenty of nice days in that mix of possible stormy days.
Absolutely,
Well.
just a little chilly by the middle of this week.
We can take that. Thanks, Doug. Coming up, the massive cargo ship blocking one of the world's busiest trade routes. It's been freed now, finally. But first, we honor a local Purple Heart recipient. Aaron Knuckles served in the U.S. Army from 2003 to 2010. The Wyandotte, Oklahoma native was stationed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we salute Staff Sergeant Aaron Knuckles, a four-state hero.
Doug Hetty has
All that personal protective equipment you bought over the past year, it's tax deductible. The IRS says you can write off items including masks, hand sanitizer, and disinfecting wipes. The policy covers PPE purchased since January 1st of 2020. But you are going to need to itemize deductions as part of your medical expenses for the year. A first in the U.S., a vaccine passport rolled out over the weekend. The app-based digital certification launched by New York State is called the Excelsior Pass. People will have to enter personal information like their name, date of birth, and zip code, and the app houses details such as a user's most recent inoculation date or a negative coronavirus test. Good news for travelers. American and United Airlines have extended their flight credit expiration dates until March 31st of next year. A wave of flight credits with a 12-month expiration date where the extension is good for American Airlines travelers who canceled their flights beginning on March 1st of last year. United covers canceled tickets going back to May of 2019. The skyscraper-sized cargo ship that's been jammed against the Suez Canal is finally free, and traffic has resumed on one of the busiest trade routes in the world. Reporter Ian Lee has the latest.
The massive ship known as the Ever Given is moving again after a massive effort to dislodge it. Tugboats blasted in relief early Monday morning when the colossal ship blocking the Suez Canal finally budged after hours of being pushed, pulled, and prodded. Now one of the world's most crucial passages is open again.
And this isn't the first time this has happened, and although it has captured the sort of public's imagination because it's such a big vessel.
For days, dredgers sucked up nearly 1 million cubic feet of sand and mud. Mother Nature also lent a hand with a full moon high tide, raising the canal's water level. Egyptian investigators are now looking into how this happened. The blockage created a traffic jam of nearly 400 ships carrying everything from crude oil and cattle to coffee and toilet paper.
The canal can take about 50 or 60 ships a day, so there is going to be some delay as they free up this backlog.
The disaster has hit world economies hard, with billions of dollars lost in global trade. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next, but there won't be a KOAM News at 6 today because of the NCAA tournament. Also, KOAM News at 10 is going to be pushed back a bit later than usual. On KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14, Missouri enters Phase 2 for COVID-19 vaccinations today. It's open to restaurant workers, also the homeless and others. Plus, a teenager designs a cart for the homeless that includes features like a bed, toilet, storage, and more. And the Pentagon wants a spending increase. President Biden says no. That and more tonight on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Let's check back with Doug Hetty now for a final look at the weather.
All right, Dow, it's going to stay very windy for us throughout the evening hours tonight, and then we'll drop back to about 51 degrees. Pretty much clear skies. We'll have morning sunshine, but clouds will start to increase throughout the day tomorrow. I still think we'll go into the mid-60s, but then we'll slide back as a cold front drops through early in the afternoon. So we'll drop back into the 50s and eventually into the 40s.
Thanks, Doug, and thank you for joining us again. No 6 o'clock news tonight. Let's take care of ourselves and each other.